Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's Saturday Spotlight. This episode, event, whatever you want to call it, is special because it's our last one before the break. And this time I have another author joining us from overseas. I'm super excited for you to get to meet her. Please welcome Prabhjot Kaur Saini. How are you?
Hi Ashley, how are you? I'm fine.
Good. Thank you so much for joining us. I know we have over a 12-hour time difference, and so I appreciate you finding a time that works with me.
Thank you for having me here. It's a really pleasure to be here.
Awesome. So for those of you that don't know, Prabhjot Kaur writes poetry, and they also have a horror story out, and they have something in the works for us as well, but I won't spoil those details. Their poetry book is Planting a Poetry Plant, and their horror story is called The Presence. Prabhjot, would you just like to tell people a little bit about the poetry book and the horror story that are out?
So the poetry book is titled Planting a Poetry Plant. So the title suggests that I see poetry as planting a tree and it grows with us and it develops, it bears leaves and fruits, and it goes through the different stages just like us, and we evolve with it constantly. It is like when we are young, when we plant a tree, we plant a little sapling and it grows with us, and we evolve together and it goes very close to our heart. So that is how I see poetry, and that's why I titled the book Planting a Poetry Plant, because I wrote my first poem before I turned 10, just a couple of days before I turned 10. So it really just grew and evolved with me. So that is how the journey goes. And that is what the book highlights, the author's journey.
I love that. I think that age is so special too. I have a kiddo that's about the same age as when you wrote the first poem, and honestly, I'd say the past 6 months or so they've really been into writing, so I think it's just kind of a special age where it kind of awakens in some people, and you get to start playing with different words, and you're no longer just learning like what a word is and vocabulary. You kind of get to play with how they sound together and what they look like together, and that's kind of exciting.
Yes, it's a very exciting journey indeed.
And then, so I know that's when your first poem started. The last poem of the book, was that more recent? Like, does it cover a few years span of writing for you?
Yeah, it covers from 2016 to 2021, so about 5 to 6 years.
Oh,
That is the book.
that's so beautiful. I think that's so much of your adolescence and becoming who you are, right? Because during that time, that's when you get to find out your personality, your interests, and like what makes you you. Do you have a favorite poem from that book?
Actually, that's a hard question, but I would choose A Starry Night because it combines two of my favorite interests. I mean, my most common favorite interests. So that is astronomy and writing. So looking at the night sky is something that just really awakens my soul and just fills me with wonder. And uh, writing poetry inspired from that bewilderment is something that's really precious, and maybe that's just what poetry is all about. So that's my favorite one.
Oh, I love that. I think that gives such good insight to you as a human, not just an author, right? Like what matters most. That's fantastic. So that's your poetry, but now you also wrote horror, which is a very different genre, right? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
So actually, I started writing horror at that same age only, just a few days after I wrote my poetry. So it's me when I was 10. So I used to read Goosebumps series by R.L. Stein, and that
Oh,
really
yeah.
inspired me to read my own stories. So I used to write my own horror stories, but they were, very childish, like with monsters and all, in those inspired by those series. So, but I kept writing, and then I grew my writing style and developed it. Actually, the story, The Presence, is a rewritten version of an original story which we had to write for an English class back in 8th grade. So I was about 12 or 13 at that time. I just kept the rough draft with me because I like that story, I like that concept, and then I just rewrote it and evolved it, and then it became the present.
That's so cool. I know you talked about feeling like it was childish on your first rough draft, but some of R.L. Stein's greatest stories, I mean, I remember there's one about a killer sponge, right? Like, because he just tries to go with the most, like, juxtaposing ideas he can come up with. And I think it's all about in how you tell it, and the development that you give to it. That's so fun. When did you finish up The Presence? I know you started it in 2016. When did when did that come to a close for you?
Actually, it was last year in 2023, if I'm not mistaken, that I was free because my school had just ended, my exams had ended, so I was looking for new submissions. So I came across these flash fiction submissions, and they require um, a word limit of 999 words. So I fit my story in that, but a lot of it was missed out. So it got rejected by that publication. But then again, uh, I wrote it for a short story competition, and the word limit was 1,500 words. The extended word limit really helped me bring more depth to the story and the characters and the setting. And it was a contest which required public votes from the readers. So I shared them with my friends. I didn't have Instagram back then. It was actually 2022. I'm sorry, I have mistook the year. I was in 11th grade at that time. So my friends really loved it. They shared it with more people. They gave 5-star reviews and everything. Unfortunately, I didn't get to the first category, but the editors loved my story, so it was published in the anthology and featured on their newsletter and all. So that was my first success after publishing my book.
That's so lovely. I think it's so important to just kind of listen to your characters when you're writing and see if they have more to say. Sometimes they don't, right? Especially with poems, like sometimes if you get the right words in the right order, like it's ready to go. Like it's just its own little beautiful masterpiece. But with stories, sometimes, the characters have more to say and there's more to kind of dig into, which is always fun, in its own way. They're kind of different adventures, I would say. Would you agree?
Indeed, absolutely correct.
That's so
I'm actually facing that with my own novel right now. I'm writing with the fantasy novel which I'm writing. So the characters, they're always changing what they want to say, and it's a never-going process. Really.
I sympathize with that completely. I'm just wrapping up my trilogy, but it was supposed to be a standalone book, and it's a trilogy. So sometimes those characters, they kind of get their own voice.
Even my novel started out as standalone, but now it is probably a 5-book series or something. So you never know.
But I love that you have the ability to catch that, right? And to understand that even what you originally had planned can change and it can evolve, just through the process, and you're not limited to your first idea.
Indeed, yes.
That's fun. What do you think is your favorite part or your least favorite part about writing?
My most favorite part is, of course, the writing and pouring my thoughts and ideas into words and others reading them and appreciating them. But my least favorite part is getting to the marketing because as an introvert, that's really tough to reach out to people and say, hey, you should buy my book, because it feels really awkward at times, but you have to do it. Your book won't sell otherwise.
No, I completely agree. I had a similar situation to that not that long ago. I was packing up for an author event, and one of my neighbors that I wouldn't say we know each other well, but we're really friendly. We both have dogs, so we socialize. And they were like, "Oh, I didn't know that you were an author." And they started asking questions, and I'm fine answering questions, but then it gets to this point of yeah, I'm located at this bookstore, and I absolutely cringe at that transition. And she was so nice about it, and she was like, listen, I'm a singer, I'll invite you to some of my shows, it's fine, this is just a part of what you do, you sell books and I, sell tickets to concerts. And But still that like crossover of like, yeah, you can buy it. Like, even like just thinking back, it makes me all like twitch. I hate it.
Same.
uh, so I know that you have your work in progress right now. What else do we have, to look forward to from you? Do you think that you'll be working on your fantasy novel for the upcoming future? Where's life at for you?
Actually, just a few days ago, I revealed the cover and title of my upcoming poetry book. So that's currently what I'm working on right now. It's titled Ink Joys, and it is about the beauty of literature and reading books and writing. So everything that a reader and a writer feels in the form of poetry is what that book contains. So that's currently what I'm working on and will hopefully publish in a month or so.
That's so exciting. I had no idea you had another poetry book coming out.
Yeah, it's just a very recent progress. So I recently started talking about it. So it's kind of new.
Oh, fantastic. I can't wait to read that one. I'm so excited for you. Book releases are like, they're so fun. They're like the
Indeed,
good
yes.
part of marketing, right? Like, those are fun to talk about.
That's the only good part about marketing. Just saying that I just really believe it.
Right. No, I get that. Oh, that's so awesome. Well, I personally cannot wait to read that. For the other viewers who want to learn more about you, check out that new release. Where's the best place to find you and find information about you?
Actually, I have a YouTube channel, Reading with Prabhjot, where I share about the books I read and everything I write. So most updates would be from there, and my Instagram @author Prabhjot Kaur Saini. I'm active over there, and I do post updates on Twitter as well, but it's not really that active. But you can always follow me there and reach out for updates and more.
Awesome. Well, I know I will be tuning into your Instagram. I have had the absolute pleasure for knowing you over Instagram for about a year, and it's so nice to put a face with a name. I think you even won the giveaway when we hit 1,000 followers, which is exciting. And
Thank you so much for that.
oh my gosh, my pleasure. And it was just truly a pleasure to get to meet you today. So thank you so much for spending some time with me.
The pleasure was mine. I'm really honored to be here today. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's great. All right, to everyone viewing, like I said, this is our last episode before the break. So I will see you in 3 months, but happy reading, and don't forget to check out the new poetry book. All right, bye everybody.